So this is a property that one of our real estate clients just purchased. So we helped her buy it. She's a real estate investor. In the past, we used to work with a ton of real estate investors that were buying like single family rental properties. That's slowed down quite a bit. I think with the interest rates being higher, it gets harder for that to like make sense for people. What she actually does, she does short-term or mid-term rentals. So like Airbnb, traveling nurses, stuff like that. I think this is the third or fourth property that they've bought to do this. This one's in Benton, Arkansas specifically. It's not, we do a lot of stuff in Little Rock, but Benton's growing quite a bit. There's some like really cool little restaurants, new restaurants right down the street from here. And the area just seems to be getting revitalized quite a bit. So this is right on the like main little drag with all the cars driving by. She's gonna be on a pretty tight budget, but I think she's gonna try to do as much improvements as she can afford to do on it, and then use it again for a midterm or short-term rental. So it's a single family house with a detached little ADU in the backyard. So it's not zoned multifamily or anything, but since it was pre-existing, it gets grandfathered in. When you pull the ivy off, it's gonna look like this. So it's gonna peel some of that layer of paint off. You pull on this?
Yeah.
That's what it's gonna do to it. I would still take it off, but it'll literally start to push apart, like it'll push its way into the house and start to push apart the trim and stuff.
Yeah, so it's got to come down.
Let's just see how it looks when it's off.
Okay.
I hate to be like this, but if you guys are really crunching to do it a little bit cheaper, like you could just paint the front of it.
Yeah,
like literally just the front of the house and the front of the little ADU in the back.
Okay.
It's not ideal, but just a thought. Well, yeah, because if you're gonna paint it, like you got, I mean, wood, exposed wood and peeling paint everywhere. And so it's like, you might as well, at that point, you might as well just paint the whole thing.
I know. What do you think can be done there?
Window's shot. And so you can't just, it wouldn't be just replacing the glass.
Okay.
The glass actually isn't broken. It's the window frame that's broken.
Okay.
Or you could order a new vinyl window, put a new vinyl window in there. But I think with that size, it would probably have to be custom ordered.
Make it look better? Is there like, I mean, instead of just a square piece of plywood, is there anything more decorative?
No, but I bet that's something you could hop on ChatGPT or Google and see. It reminds me of a crawl space. You see crawl space doors all the time that are plywood. And depending on who your insurance is, they may say something about these deck rails. You may have to add the little horizontal slots. So technically, this is not up to current code. So like if you were to, if they permitted whenever they did the deck repairs, this wouldn't have been allowed.
Oh.
That you could come in here and add the little slats in front of it.
Okay.
Type deal, but it's up to you.
Okay.
And same thing, there's no safety ballards on the stairs going down. So like if you wanted to, you could add the little safety ballards going down.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Just the horizontal little wood slats. Not the integrity of the deck, but it definitely keeps it from being a fall hazard for a little one.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's like if I wouldn't want Aspen out here because I'd be worried she'd crawl right through one of these and fall off. Were you thinking any painting in here?
So as far as budget goes, ceiling for sure. Which you're gonna have to do the ceilings in the other. We're gonna have to take these down and paint in here. This one's okay. They redid that, but so this is the similar situation. Popcorn, and then I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of crazy where people put light fixtures, but it's not centered to the window, which then it doesn't make sense in order to putting dining anything in here, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't, it doesn't make sense. So if we could move this over to center it with the window, we can leave this light fixture. And if I need to grab a medallion to kind of help with it, and if we can paint the walls in here.
Just in this room or in all
I'm gonna, well, no, this room and the bathroom, because obviously, I mean, go Tigers, but I am an LSU fan, but I don't know. The ceiling, it's gotta be replaced. Like as far as sheetrock, I think we talked about it, sheetrock and painting it.
What about just painting it so it's fresh white? My concern is with the budget you have on this, it's just you're gonna run through that very quickly. Okay. Right, so it's not that it's not undoable, it's just you may have to just give and take on some stuff.
Sure, okay. Well, that's a thought. I'll consider that and being a...
You have wood paneling in here also, so it's like you run this slippery slope.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm good with the walls.
There can be historic tax credits for some neighborhoods sometimes. And it wouldn't necessarily even surprise me if because this is probably close to a historic house, but it probably only makes sense to go after historic tax credits if you're doing large scale remodel. And if you do that, there's a bunch of hoops you have to jump through with like the historic district and the state or the federal government and stuff to qualify for them.
That's true.
And so that on some projects like older house like that could be an option, but it's probably not. Even if it was an option with this one, it's probably not going to be worth doing it.
It's like a shower attachment.
Okay.
That's just, it should fit. Basically take that off and put it back on.
Okay.
And then a new light fixture here. They have their outlet there, but it needs to be a GFCI because it's in the bathroom.
Okay.
And then of course the ceiling. So.
You were hoping to sheetrock the ceiling.
It needs a vent, a bathroom vent, because the window doesn't open.
Okay.
So
and you had that on the scope of work.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna roll with your original scope of work, and then let's get our guys out here to price it, and if we need to chunk them down a little bit, we'll chunk them down on it. You're gonna supply all light fixtures.
Anything that's a light fixture, yes.
Okay.
I will get that for you. This is kind of fun. I don't know what this is. This has to be capped off.
That's for the laundry.
Okay, but that's what I was gonna ask you. Can we move the laundry here? The inspector seemed to think that was fine because of the crawl space. I would wanted to move the washer and dryer either here or stackable here.
You can do anything you want, but it's time and money, right? And so in this case, it's more the money would be my concern. Moving it's not that big of a deal, but you're gonna have a decent amount of plumbing costs to move it over there.
Okay.
And then the other issue you're gonna run into is this is plumbed right now for a gas dryer. And so you'd have to run the gas lines over there as well. In a separate circuit so you're gonna have electrical and plumbing costs, both water and gas and vent plumbing.
Could you cap the gas here and just make it electric over there?
So we can, and that's what I was thinking. The problem is you gotta run dedicated 220, so you gotta do a high voltage circuit to there, which depending on where, we'd have to look where the electrical box is if it's right there, but you're still gonna have a decent cost. Just run like that cable that's required for the 220 is super expensive per foot. And so it's not necessarily gonna be cheaper. You could, it's probably similar priced on my guess, because the problem, the same thing is like the gas line's expensive to move. And so it's probably would be fairly similar cost if there's room in the electrical box to add an additional 220 circuit.
Okay, well, this is the countertop that's I wanted to replace and then backsplash and a dishwasher, a little small one, put in here.
The only way that I think you can realistically add a dishwasher in here is if you did it right here. So eliminate all this. You could do a little, what I call pony wall. So you'd frame up like a little wall to here.
Which actually, if I
could wrap that like in sheetrock. And so same thing, we'd probably pony wall out here.
Okay.
Wrap that all in sheetrock, and then the dishwasher would slide in there. And then when you have the new countertops made, you'd basically just extend the countertops out a little bit. So it would go, not a lot, it would go to like here maybe, but then your dishwasher would be right there. Same thing, you're gonna have to run the electrical. It probably doesn't have that extra electrical there, so we have to make sure that we're able to run the electrical.
So I think it does because it actually has a disposal.
The dishwasher needs its own. It's probably gonna need its own. You might be able to put them together, but it's doable. It'll just be right there.
You think it'd be easier to do it here though?
If you're gonna, I think that's the only place you would be able to do it. Otherwise you're cutting apart the cabinets and stuff. I just don't think it's feasible without heavily modifying these old cabinets. I don't think that would be worth it. These are old school cabinets, and they're called like built-ins. They were literally assembled, like they were built here in place. And so they don't just, it's like the new cabinets, like the ones we installed, these prefab cabinets.
Right.
It's literally like a bunch of individual cabinets that we screw together or screw to the wall.
Okay.
These ones were like literally, like they're attached to the wall and built together and stuff. Like they don't just come apart.
Okay.
Or they don't just like, you can't just pop one cabinet out. Like they're all intertwined together, if that makes sense. You can cut it out, but you're going to get kind of goofy pretty quickly with that, I think.
Okay.
Is the dishwasher a deal breaker?
I mean, kind of. It needs a washer and dryer and a dishwasher, I feel like.
The problem with Airbnbs, right? You have a whole house. It's not necessarily the guests the guests may use it if they're midterm people.
Midterm or
but even if you just had
term,
shorter term, it's for the cleaner. When they're washing like a whole house worth of linens at once, you need like decent washing machine dryer space or volume. I personally would do the side by side. They're a lot bigger. You can do like the Samsung ones. But
yeah. Is that going to be feasible right here?
They're going to block the window a little bit.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. No, but I was thinking that would be a better laundry rather than.
Size-wise, I mean,
Yeah.
I think you'd be totally fine. Just set them right, kind of one in front of each window.
Okay.
The vent's going to be goofy because you're going to kind of run the vent right into the out
Could you
above
vent?
the deck. But
Could the dryer go here though and vent that way?
you could, yeah. Our lake house, it's like it vents into our front porch. It's never been an issue. Yeah.
Okay.
So let me ask you, out of all the stuff we talked about, if you were going to eliminate 2 or 3 things, which things would you eliminate?
Okay, well, I've already taken off the floor because I would like this all redone, but I don't know. I mean, I definitely feel like we need the washer and dryer. I definitely think we need a dishwasher and we need new countertops. And then the bathroom, ceiling painted and vented. I don't know. Maybe once we kind of get an idea, I can try to.
Obviously,
Are you thinking like, what have you done, Sabrina?
No, I just think
Your face looks like.
I think just being realistic about the cost, and it's not the repairs and the painting and the light fixtures and all that stuff doesn't start to become that big of a deal. But like when you start modifying the kitchen cabinets to add the dishwasher, I think it's gonna, like, that kind of stuff. It's gonna start to get, like, it's gonna be hard to get guys that are willing to do that. Replacing the sheetrock and the ceilings, like that kind of stuff's all gonna start to add up a little bit.
Okay.
I think we just have them bid it though and see where it's at, and then we
Yeah.
kind of go from there. The thing that keeps me up at night is saying, "Oh yeah, we could do it for 20."
I know, and you'd rather over.
and then blow through the 20 and be halfway
You're like,
finished.
"Hey."
It's just not.
No.
We just will not do that.
Yeah.
And so I just rather just be realistic about what it's probably going to cost, and then not have the surprises there.
No, absolutely.
And then
Appreciate
cut
that.
stuff out.
Yes, no, definitely. I'd rather it that way.
And that's the thing I would say, be careful if you have some of these other guys look at it, because it's just.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
do that.
Sometimes they can just throw out a number and it might not be realistic. I gotcha.
They used to do it to me until I knew better. They would say, yeah, it'd probably be 20 or 30,000 bucks, and then I'd buy it and close, and they'd be like, oh, it's gonna be 60.
Great.
And so just, you got to be aware of it.
Based on the scope of work, if you stick mainly to the front house, you can make that Airbnb ready for around 20 grand.
I think so. Not including furnishings, but just the work. I think we get the front house pretty nice. Again, not brand new. It's an old antique house, but just getting it nice and fresh. You know, especially those older houses, I think people kind of like. It's not my style, but I think the people that like that really like that. They're totally okay with it, and they almost expect it. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Okay, because here's the next big project. Have you been in the other house?
We walked in there, yeah. So that's all going to get redone. Luckily, it's small though, so it's not.
Yeah.
But it definitely needs. Full,
I mean, I don't know how you're going to even do the bathroom.
Full paint and full flooring at a
Were
minimum.
you able to pull back any of that carpet? Do you know what's underneath it?
I'm not touching the carpet,
Yeah.
Sabrina.
I can't imagine how you wouldn't want to touch that.